Fox here for a great Randy Rhoads, Ozzy Osbourne guitar lesson. This is going to be for Suicide Solution. Tuning for this is standard. So if you want to play along with that record or this lesson, you'll need to tune to standard. Let's go ahead and get started with that introduction. So let's cover that part first. So the first part is just basically at some point on the lower part of the neck, you're just gonna kind of just grab and slide down the neck, and that's gonna be your, and then the first chord is gonna be an A5 chord. That's gonna be open A, second fret of the D and the G. So we do a, now it's gonna be two muted picks on the open E string before we do the, so. Now what you're doing from here, you're going to bar your first finger across the 5th fret of the D and G string. After those 2 minute picks, you're going to slide from the 5th fret of the D and G string to the 2nd fret of the D and G and D string. Now once you get up to the 2nd fret, you're going to play just the open D and G. And then come back to the 2nd fret of the D and G. So slowly. Now there are a ton of guitar fills in this song. Not really a traditional solo, but Randy puts so many great guitar fills in here, so we're going to go through each one of those. The very first one is just grabbing the 3rd fret of the low E string and doing a bend. So it's, and then back into it. So you're just doing a. The next one. So you're going to go down here to the 5th fret of the G string and just play that note, and then take your whammy bar and just do a not a full dive, just a little bit, not a lot of pressure there, and then go back into that riff. So let's play what we have slowly. Here's where the singing starts. That's the 3rd fill. So that's going to be first played an open D string. Then you're going to play the 1st fret of the D, and then pull off. And a pull off just means you're just taking that finger down and pulling that string down to an open note. And then grabbing the 3rd fret of the A. So again. Okay, then it repeats again. Now that is going to be, you're going to be here on the 2nd fret of the G string, and you're going to first play that note, and then you're going to come down here and grab the 5th fret with your pinky of the same string, the G string, and then you're going to do a pull off. And that's going to be pull off from 5 to 2 and open to the 3rd fret of the A string, and then a little pull down. So let's go through what we got so far. cover that part in a second. So that last fill is going to be, that's just an open A string, and again you're taking the whammy bar and just a slight little push down there. So then we play this. That's going to be all 5 chords or power chords, bar chords. The first one's going to be on the 7th fret of the A string, ring fingers on the 9th fret of the D string. And then we play, that's an E5. We're going to go down 2 frets and play a D5. That's going to be 5th fret of the A string, 7th fret of the D, and then another whole step down to the C5. And that's going to be 3rd fret of the A, 5th fret of the D, and then we finish on the G5. So that's going to be 3rd fret of the low E string, 5th fret of the A. Then we play this. So that part's just doing a couple of muted notes here on the open A. Now what you're playing here is again the 5th fret of the D and G and D string. Then you're playing the same 2 strings but on the 7th fret. So it's 5th fret of the D and G to the 7th fret. So 2 down strung, two notes down. And then there's a muted note in between those chords. Then we come up here to the G, to the A5. The G is going to be a little different than a traditional G chord, G major chord that we would play, because we're going to make sure that we don't play the A string. So I'm kind of laying my middle finger across that A string so it doesn't mute out, but you're putting, you're actually fretting on the 3rd fret of the low E. You're playing the open D, open G, and then your 3rd fret of the B. So you get that, and then we go to the A5, which we learned already, guitar fills. So the first one is one we've already learned, so we go. We already learned that one. That's just the open D, pull off from the 1st fret of the D, pull off to an open D, and then grab the 3rd fret of the A string. Then so. So the next one. Now that's just going to be a hammer-on pull-off from the 1st fret of the D string. So you do it first. You're going to play it open. So, and it's definitely one of those you kind of do faster. It's not going to sound good. And then you're going to come back down, play the open D string, and play a hammer-on pull-off from that 2nd fret. So. Final guitar fill for that verse is this. Now that's going to be here at the 5th fret of the G string. You're going to grab with your pinky finger the 8th fret of the B, and then do it. You're going to keep that position because you're just going to slide all that down 1 fret down or a half step. And it's going to be quick. So just keep that pressure. You're really going to just play this. You're going to pluck these strings 1 time. And then go right back into the main riff. I'll play that one slowly. Now we have a different riff coming up. So let's go over this. I'll play it for you first. that's the coolest part of the song. I love that riff, that little walk down there. So the first part's going to be muted on the low E. You're going to play the 5th fret to the 7th fret. And then you're going to grab this chord here. It's going to be on the 4th fret of the D and G string. So now we're going to go back and repeat that same bass notes down here from 5 to 7 on the low E and do. Now this time you're going to move that down here to the 6th fret of the G and D. So now we're going to walk down and play some different bass notes. That's going to be from the 7th fret of the low E to the 9th. And that's going to be, you're going to bar your first finger across the 7th fret of the D and G. Come back to the 9th fret of the low E. And then come back to that chord on the 7th fret of the D and G. But on the last strum, you're going to move it down a half step to the 6th fret. So slowly. Repeats again. Final time before we go back in, you're going to go same thing, but we're going to come back to 9th fret of the low E, 7th of the low E, opening. And we play that. What we already learned. We got one more verse, so we're back to same thing. Nothing's changed except we're just going to add some different fills. Some of them we've already played, but. Already learned that one, so that was no different. Now that one's just going to be playing an open D string and then just hitting that tremolo bar just a little bit, and then we come back out of. Now, it sounds like he's just kind of instead of how, we did the slides where we come out this way, he's just kind of going up. Changes here. Just going to hold that A5 chord that when we already learned. We learned all these chords earlier. So first it's going to be C5. You're going to move that shape down 1 fret to B5. That's a new one we did not learn. That's going to be 2nd fret of the A, 4th fret of the D. So we have C5, the G5 that we learned earlier, back to the A, B, C, D, G, then it goes and holds again. That's just going to be hitting an open A and D and then hammering on that B. So I'm not actually playing that B, I'm just, and then going to the C, B, G, that's C, D, G. Okay, we got one more verse, the very final part of the song. So after we do that long pauses of the bridge, then we go back into the. Now that's just going to be that same riff we've already learned, but we're going to grab that fill's going to be on the 3rd fret of the low E. That's just again a little pull down. Then we're going to go. You're going to come down here to the 12th fret of the G string, lay your finger just gently over that 12th fret and hit that harmonic, and then you're going to hit the tremolo bar and go back into that same riff. that same riff we already learned. Now that's just a trill. That last one's going to be on the G, and you're just hammering on and pulling off from the 2nd fret to the open string of the G. Now at the very end, it's just nothing changes. Just play that same riff. You can throw those other fills in there. This is the very ending part of the song. This would have been right where Randy would have done the his guitar solo on the live part, but there's not really a solo for this, but you're just holding that A5 chord. Now he does play that little lick right there on the 8th fret of the B and high E, and just he slides out, and then he goes so the first part's just going to be an A5. You could play it down here at the 7th fret of the D, 9th fret of the G, and then add that octave on the 10th fret of the B. Or you could play it up here where we played earlier. And then we do this. So that's going to be 7th fret of the G string. You're doing about a half bend. So you're just going to pluck the note, bend it up, bring it back down to the 5th fret of the G. Then it goes to the C5, which we've already learned. And then the rest of it is, Randy doing lots of, it sounds like there's multiple layers of different things he's doing with the tremolo, making lots of kind of real cool sounds. But I know he goes here to the 5th fret of the G string and does a bend. So I'd recommend, honestly, I think what's a lot of fun about these outros and stuff like that is that gives you a chance just to get wacky and just do your own thing.